up here. Okay. Great. Hi, everyone. It's Royce Rosewood. I am an actor and an author and all sorts of different things. And today we are talking about Oops, I Broke the Wizard's Android, which is 99 cents today on Amazon and on all major platforms. So go check out that ebook if you haven't already. We are doing a couple of different things today. We are doing a live Q&A. I've got some questions here, and I'll, of course, take any live questions as they come in. I'll be doing a live reading, and then later today, we're going to be doing a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away a signed paperback. This one, actually, this very paperback right here. I will sign it and I will send it to you if you are the contest winner for the best participant in the today for the Q&A, and then for the takeover later today. Whoever responds the most will win a free paperback, which sounds fun. So stick around for that later today. But first, we've got some questions to go through. So I am going to read these questions. So here's what we got. Tell us about the first project you worked on when you knew you wanted to be a writer. Well, that's a really interesting question. When did I know? I don't know. I'll tell you about some early projects I worked on. When I was in high school, I participated in National Novel Writing Month. It was still pretty new back then. I think it was only like the 5th anniversary. So I wrote a novel for that in a month, and that was kind of an experience. And then also when I was younger, about that same time, I think, I heard about a playwriting workshop at a local theater near where I lived, and I just thought that was the coolest idea. Our English teacher told us about it, and I was like the only person in the class who was like, playwriting? That sounds really interesting. I was in theater at the time. I have always been interested in writing. My career, I pursued kind of more of a theater route. I'm an actor, improviser. I have done some playwriting, and of course now I've written novels. So writing is something that was kind of weaved its way in and out. But now I've got this novel. So, hopefully that answers that question. All right, here's the next question. Talk about Oops, I Broke the Wizard's Android and the specific themes that make it unique in the world of speculative fiction. Here's the cover. So, Oops, I Broke the Wizard's Android is a science fantasy, so it mixes tropes and ideas from both fantasy and science fiction. It is about a wizard's apprentice, Ninian Lightcaster, who, sort of in the final year of her magical education, she takes on an apprenticeship, and through the course of the novel, she ends up getting replaced by an artificially intelligent android. So there are spaceships, and there are spells, and there are robots, and there are portals. So it's a mix of these different things. So I feel like that's pretty unique. I always have a hard time finding books that kind of hit that right balance between magic and technology. So I feel like that makes it pretty unique, and it was pretty fun to write. So there's that. All right, next question. Did you have a favorite character to write in the book? What made them so compelling? That's a great question. Salagrix, who is the wizard mentor, the aging wizard mentor who takes on Ninian's apprenticeship, was a very interesting character to write. He's kind of a complicated character. He's very old. He's kind of got a different value set than Ninian. And a lot of the mystery of the book revolves around him and the things that he's done. So it was interesting to think about him and his perspective and the things that had happened to him. He's kind of an old curmudgeon, but he's got some other sides too. He becomes fascinated by, the new technologies that are available and gets really interested in them. that. So he's definitely an interesting one to write. And then there's another character who I really liked writing. This is a mild spoiler, but Ninian ends up meeting the previous apprentice named Rodondo Vecchi. And Rodondo is a demonologist, so he works with demons, and he has, came from kind of a poor background, and that sort of gives him this attitude that he, has to like constantly prove himself and kind of put on kind of a facade to kind of fit in with kind of wizarding community, which tends to be a little bit more upper class. So he was a really interesting character to write as well. And I don't think I've given away too much about that. All right. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Has a character ever surprised you? Maybe you thought they were one way, but they turned out to be completely different. Can you tell us about this experience? All the time. I feel like I'm constantly being surprised by my characters. An example from this book would be the delivery boy character, who in early drafts was that's all it was, just a mention of like, there's somebody who comes and brings and drops things off at the tower, and that's it. But as I kept rewriting and kind of fleshing out the drafts, he kind of took on this whole energy and spun into this whole character, and then it was an integral part of the story in Ninian's journey. His name is Benno, and he's a local. He lives on the Shadow Moon. So yeah, for sure. And definitely with my process, using tarot cards and other inspirational tools, I'm always getting new ideas, and things kind of always have this potential kind of take off in this other direction. Definitely a discovery writer. So yes, I'm always being surprised by the things that happen in the stories. What do you do when you're just not motivated to write? I don't worry about that too much. If I've got a pretty good routine going and I've been getting words on the page, and then a day hits and I just don't feel like writing, well, there's a couple of things you could do. I could, draw a tarot card. I've got the deck here, actually. I've got this mixed up tarot card deck here. It has a whole bunch of different cards. So, can always get inspiration, or, inspirational tools from my other methods. So there's that. So you can get inspiration, or like I don't worry about, taking a punt on a day. If it's just not feeling, there's no point to sitting at the laptop and struggling and not getting anything out. I think I would, if I was feeling like it wasn't coming, I would go do a chore, go run laundry, go wash the dishes or something, see if that sparked anything. And if not, sometimes you just got to let it go. Like, you don't want to force it. You don't want to strangle it, the creativity. So, I just, I don't worry. Oh, hey buddy, I'm doing a live stream. Do you want to say hi?
Yeah.
Right. This is our 4-year-old. He's home today because it's so cold.
Yeah. I'm very cold.
Are you cold? You should go put on a sweater or something.
No. I got a shirt.
Yeah. Great. All right, let's see what the next question is. Do you write the book with an audience in mind? Yes. It's a young adult book, so I think about teenagers. I think about myself as a teenager. I think about teenagers who maybe feel like they don't fit in, who might be neurodivergent or queer. And I want to write books that are weird and help other people who feel like they're weird, like they have a place and they fit in. So I definitely think about, I sort of have an imaginary teenager who wants to fit in. And I think about them and I write towards them. All right. Let's see. Let's see what's next. How do you navigate the dilemma of writing characters of a different gender than your own? I don't see that as a dilemma. I'm an actor, and one of the things that you learn as an actor is that, even though you have one experience, there's actually like a sort of an infinitude or a whole number of experiences that can live inside your body.
Why you shouldn't put it in front of me?
So the fact that someone has a different gender or has a different sexual orientation or a different life experience than you, it's just about imagining, okay, what would that mean to me if that was my experience? How would that live in my body? I don't think, at the end of the day, we're all really that different. I think we all have more in common than the different things that people say separate us. So I don't worry about that. I think about characters in terms of motivations, perspectives, personality traits, drives, and I don't think any of those things. Now, they can be impacted by gender, and certainly a character's experience from things that are happening to them in an environment or context can influence the way that they react to those things. But like the things on the inside, the real things that really make a character, I think those are things that we all have access to. So, as the answer to that question, I'm seeing the thing that there's comments, but I'm not seeing them. So, if you have left a comment, I see that there is a comment, but I don't see what it is. So, maybe I'll check it out afterwards. All right. Do you bring your own personality or people from your personal life into your writing? If so, how? Absolutely. So like I was talking about in the previous one, as an actor, you try to find your way into the character, and sometimes they are like you and sometimes they're not like you, but whatever it is, that you have to find that place inside of you that you can bring that thing out. And I think about that same way with the characters that I write, what would cause me to act in this way? If something like this happened to me, what would I do? And so I'm sure all of the characters are shot through with myself in different ways, different aspects of myself, different reflections of myself. And so too, I don't think I did this consciously with any of the characters, but thinking about people that I know and kind of melding them with aspects of myself. If I had to sit down and trace it, I probably could, but I just sort of let those things kind of like seep in unconsciously. So absolutely, I'm sure there's aspects of me and people I know shot through all of these characters, for sure. If you could change the world doing one thing, what is something you would do right now? My goodness, do I only get one? I'll give you a list. We need to decarbonize the economy. We need to protect workers' rights. We need to defend our democracy from oligarchs and plutocrats and fascists. We need to ensure protections for people of all kinds. But the big one is we've got to protect our planet, because no planet, no people, right? So take your pick from one of those five. All right. Recommend some of your own favorite novels to our community. The Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir. I can't shut up about this series enough. It's so good. It's not even complete yet. And even if the fourth book, which I think is supposed to come out later this year, is a total disaster, I would still recommend the series based on the strength of the first three. It is so good. Lesbian Necromancers in Space is the accurate and also wildly inaccurate premise for the book. Lots of bones, lots of necromancers, drama. Oh man, so good. So there's that. You know what? I would recommend if you're looking for like teen like YA stuff. Daniel Pinkwater is a classic. I grew up reading a bunch of Daniel Pinkwater books. He's super weird, totally wild stuff. Read like Borgle or The Snark Out Boys and the Avocado of Death. Those are good ones for like weird like YA reads. What are some other books? Right now I'm reading Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower, which is very good and definitely worth all the recommendations and accolades. It is a difficult read. It's kind of harder and darker and heavier than the things that I'm used to reading. But definitely recommended. What else have I read recently that I really enjoyed? You know, it's kind of out there, and you know, it probably will not appeal to everyone. But The Dying Earth by Jack Vance, kind of more in that classic sci-fi fantasy vein. The sexual politics of it are probably make it a no-go for some people. You know, it's kind of written with the it's of its time, and I understand that is, you know, some people can't get through that. But if you can, there's a wacky adventure on the other side. So anyway, that's probably enough recommendations. Okay. What's next for you, writing and release-wise? Well, I do have about 20,000 words on a sequel to Oops, I Broke the Wizard's Android. But I do not know when that will be out. Circumstances have kind of changed for me and my family, and so I'm actually putting more time and effort into work. I actually just got a new job this morning, which I'm excited to do that. But that's going to kind of change my schedule. So I'm still figuring out how do my creative projects fit into my new schedule. But I still am doing other things. I've been kind of playing around with solo RPG stuff and game design stuff kind of in my free time. And all of that goes onto my channel, my YouTube channel, which is The Ragamancers. So it's not quite books and it's not quite writing, but it is kind of all part of my creative process. Books take a lot of time. They're a lot of work. And I do want to get that next book out, but I just don't know when it's going to be. You know, I've started it. I've got ideas for it. I kind of know part of where it goes. So yeah, you know, if not this year, maybe next year, or, you know, we'll see. We'll see. No rush. Don't force it. We're just going to let it be what it is. All right. If you could offer some advice to a new author, what would it be? I don't know, man. Like, you know, if you want to write. Like, there's a lot of different ways to be a writer, and there's a lot of different avenues that you can pursue, you know, traditional publishing or self-publishing, or, you know, just releasing your stuff on the internet. But if you've got a story inside you, like, I feel like you got to honor that, and you got to bring it out to the best of your ability. So just trust that, you know, but it doesn't have to be your career. It doesn't have to be the way that you make money. But it can be a part of your life, and it can be a really satisfying part of your life. So that is it. All right. Well, that is the end of those questions. So I'm going to do a live read from the book, and then also a reminder that later, in about 2 hours from now, we're going to be doing the takeover. So I'll be asking fun questions, and whoever participates the most, in our opinion, will win this very copy. It'll be the one that I read live on stream. I'll make sure it's the same one. This paperback. So lovely paperback. Woo! Let me just get some water here, and then I will do a live reading. Great. I found the comments. Hello, Dallas. I assume you're from the YouTube channel. Still working through the book, but nice to see you. What software do you use to write? What did I use to write? Geez, it wasn't Google Docs, because I wrote a novel in Google Docs, and that was a bad plan. It just can't quite handle. I'm pretty sure I just used OpenOffice to write. I haven't transitioned into anything like Scrivener or anything like that. Whatever you got to use to get it out. But yeah, definitely. I don't recommend Google Docs because the file sizes get so big, and it slows down the thing. So, but yeah, good to see you, Dallas. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, we're gonna do a live read. This will also be a little bit preview because I also did the audiobook. I am an actor, as I said, and I've done audiobook narration, so I thought, why not narrate my own book? So we're going to be reading from the first chapter. So here we go. When Ninian Lightcaster saw the brilliant moon of Shadron for the first time from the window of the transit shuttle, she thought it was her destination. She was wrong. In her defense, her apprenticeship assignment had only arrived the previous morning, and she had hastily packed up her dormitory at the Belcarin Academy of Wizardry instead of diligently researching, as usual. Now, after several shuttle transfers over nearly 2 days, in the deep void of space without a connection to the data stream, her mind could only spin wild fantasies about what the final year of her magical education would entail. And spin wild fantasies she did. With an ink wand in one hand and a light spell in the other, she put the finishing touches on a sketch as Gossamer nuzzled in her lap. He scratched behind his neck with his furry, webbed foot and licked one of his large, watery eyes with his long tongue. Ninian had drawn herself and her familiar in a series of imagined scenes, strolling down a cobblestone street lined with inviting shops, on a boat sailing between tropical islands, cooking delicious meals in a garden full of exotic fruits and vegetables. Even though she had already memorized the words, she tapped her data stream device to read her apprentice assignment once again. Glowing text floated in the air in front of her. Mentor Salagrix, Master Wizard of the Shadow Moon of Shadron. The shuttle banked around the orange gas giant, and Ninian looked out the window just in time to see the brilliant moon in its full glory, like a sapphire marble streaked with gold-lined emerald. Is that it? Is that the shadow moon? She asked herself, barely able to contain her excitement. She danced a little dance in her seat. A cough from the other side of the shuttle told her that the only other passenger had finally awoken. She smoothed her brown overalls and tucked a strand of long black hair underneath her floppy, brown wizard's hat, hoping the old man hadn't seen her dance.
"You headed to the brilliant moon?"
asked a cracked, tired voice. The old man leaned across the aisle, his dusty jacket patched on the shoulders, and his mouth missing a tooth. "No, the shadow moon, actually. Is that it?" Ninian gestured to the jewel of a world outside the shuttle window. The old man laughed through a wheeze.
"Afraid not. That's the brilliant moon. That," he pointed, "is the shadow moon."
Ninian looked, but saw nothing. "I don't see it."
"That patch there where there's no stars. That sort of nothingness over there."
"Oh," said Ninian. She still hadn't seen it.
"I figured by the look of you, you were heading to the brilliant moon and we'd have to make an extra stop. Not many visitors to Shadron in the first place, but nobody visits the shadow moon. You got family there?"
No, I'm doing my wizard's apprenticeship with Master Salagrix. Do you know anything about him?" The old man snorted with disdain and then looked at Ninian with a disgusted pity before shaking his head and turning away. It took a few moments for Ninian to realize that the conversation was over. What had she said? She turned back to the window, unsure of how to revive the conversation after such an abrupt end, and resumed her search for the shadow moon. Beyond the thick plastiglass, the patch of darkness grew. Ninian's visions of tropical islands and cobblestone streets rapidly unraveled the closer they got. Gossamer, sensing her disappointment, made a soft crooning sound, and she absent-mindedly stroked her familiar's smooth green back for comfort. She couldn't tell if the sinking feeling in her stomach was from the shuttle descending or from creeping dread. All right, and that is where we start. Ninian thinks she's heading to the brilliant moon, and in fact she's heading to its dark twin, the shadow moon. So dark, in fact, it is barely perceptible against the darkness of space. So there you go. There's a little preview of the book. As I said, the ebook is 99 cents today and actually through the rest of the week. If for some reason you don't want to pick it up today. But do! There's a nice little spike and it'll bump us up in the algorithms. And that is super fun. And then, of course, that little reading there was a little sample of what it's pretty close to the experience of listening to the audiobook. As I said, I do all the narration and I do all the character voices, of which there are a few. All right, so that just about wraps us up for today. But I do want to remind you about the giveaway that we're going to be doing later. We are going to be doing an author takeover in just about 2 hours' time from now. I'll be asking questions in the group, and whoever participates the most will get a free signed paperback. In fact, it's this one right here. And I will sign it with this marker. So there you go. All right. Well, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Thanks, Dallas, for the question. Hopefully you got the answer to that one way or another. So much fun answering all those questions, and I will see you in a couple hours for doing takeover. Otherwise, have great days and have great lives.